Hi there. Thank you so much for asking me to tell you a little bit more about interiors therapy. And because I'm a much more visual person than I am just writing things down, I thought it might be really useful to create this little presentation for you. So let's talk interiors therapy. The first thing to say is that if everything in your life is brilliant, you don't need interiors therapy. End of discussion. However, if things aren't going great, and for those clients of yours who are heading to you with a divorce, then clearly things aren't going well. Interiors therapy is a 5-step process, which I'll go into in more depth if you want to know. But it's basically a deep rooted change in thinking and lifestyle. So, as a starting point, and you might be able to think about this right now, the mug that you've got in front of you, what does that say to you? What's your emotional response to it? Is it the one that you pull out of your cupboard and just love to make your coffee in? Or is it one that reminds you of somebody else or something that you don't like? You know, take this hers mug, for example. It was in a house where there had been a divorce. She had kept her mug, but every time she used it, she remembered that the his mug wasn't there. It triggered down into the subconscious. And as you'll already know, the subconscious is responsible for 95% of the actions you take. I don't need to read this slide to you, but I'm sure you already know that there are things that you do almost without thinking, that your subconscious triggers those actions, and they don't always act in your best interest. Your subconscious thinks it's protecting and supporting you, but actually it can be doing things that hold you in a really bad place. And the thing is, you often won't notice it's happening. Those connections that you get from subconscious triggers could be good, neutral, or they could be bad. And it's unique to you. It'll be unique to your clients. So what do I mean by saying it can change with your circumstances? So take a wedding dress. On the wedding day, in the run up to the wedding, it's good. The subconscious reaction to the dress is excitement, it's thrill, it's wonder, it's delight, it's all that anticipation that's been building up for the time and preparing for a wedding. And sometimes, let's be honest, it's been building up in kids since they were old enough to be playing at princesses. But then after the wedding dress becomes a neutral thing. It hangs there in a cupboard, or maybe it's in a box in the attic. You might look at it and think, oh, yes, that's a lovely day. You might resent it being there for taking up that amount of space, but it's not doing any harm. But then, oh my goodness, you get to the stage where you split up for whatever reason, then that wedding dress is suddenly a bad memory trigger, and it's causing problems every time you notice it because it's taking you back to the day of the wedding, to all of those emotions and to the resentment and the hurt and the anger of what's happening. But although the energy changes over time, once it gets to the stage of a divorce, it's never going to go back to being good. And I do quite often find them. I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago to a group of divorced women, and all bar one of them still had her wedding dress. And, at least two of them were thinking they'd pass it on to a daughter. Why would you want to pass on the energy of a broken marriage to another person? I think it's a very relevant thing to consider. And that's what interiors therapy is about in so many ways. Let me explain a little bit more. So, there are 5 distinct steps to understand how interiors therapy can help one of your clients. And that's to get an idea of the initial and emotional response to any item within the home. And I call this the clarity section. And I'll just show you, and it's a shocking slide, but let me just show you. Okay. Notice right then, just in that millisecond, how memories of that terrible day came back to you. And that is what is happening at a subconscious level with all the possessions which tie your clients to their marriage in any way, shape, or form. And all of those emotions which attach to divorce, the marriage ending, they're all there in those items around the house. They can be totally benign. It can be a mirror on the wall, a picture, a photograph. It could be almost anything, just like that mug in the cupboard. So those possessions will continue to impact as long as they're around. Now, as a divorce professional, of course, your clients are saying to you, I want to keep this, I want to keep that, I'm going to fight for the family home, I'm going to take him for everything, or she's not getting anything out of me, without realizing that they're actually poisoning their own situation. It's not a good idea. And it is, and I'm sure you've noticed this, the people who remain in the marital home are the ones who really struggle. Whereas the ex who might have gone off with virtually nothing more than a suitcase is annoyingly moving on really fast and seems to be extremely happy. And, you know, the client who's clinging on is just utterly bereft and miserable. Because aiming to win the battle for home and possessions might look like a great idea, but it is devastating. And, you know, the one emotion that I hate to find when I go into the homes of divorcees, but oh my goodness, I so often do, is spite. They're keeping it to stop somebody else from having it. And they really are poisoning their own environment. They might think they're hurting somebody else, but really it's them that are being hurt by it. And then think about the person who ups and runs, moves on really quickly. They don't have anything holding them back. And that's just such a relevant perspective. By letting the stuff go, you lose all those triggers and it loses the ability to cause pain. And the other thing is, it stops the manipulation. I'll get onto that in a second. But in case you're thinking, oh my goodness, she is just saying I should just tell my client to get rid of everything. I'm not saying that they should not have what they are entitled to. Really, really, really not at all. And of course, they're still going to need your support. They might need coaching to get through mediation, but they will be in a stronger, better position to move forward if they don't have those chains holding them to their ex. Let me get onto that. So these are the things which can be avoided: tears and meltdowns, stress, anger, sleepless nights. This is for your clients, maybe for you too. Controlling behavior and manipulation from an ex totally loses its power. If they don't want the house, if they don't want all of that furniture, what does the ex have over them anymore? Children aren't surrounded by memory triggers, and believe me, they hurt them so much. Living for years with the chains of the ex, settlement being eaten away by legal costs while you fight for it. And then for legal professionals, you can focus on what you've spent years training to do, which is a great job. You get an excellent outcome for your clients without life-sapping, eye-rolling wrangling over who gets what. You pull the rug out from under exes and those unscrupulous lawyers who will use and abuse the family home to manipulate your clients. You get a faster resolution. You've got efficiency, you've got client satisfaction. And you become the go-to person for a resolution which keeps dignity and the bank balance. And that is just so valuable for legal professionals. And then, of course, if you're working with other divorce coaches, consultants, mediators, they can focus on what really matters. They get a healthy and practical route to move clients out of the crisis and into an attachment-free confidence in their future life. They can identify potential blocks and obstacles, especially on Zoom. I mean, there are now any number of clients, coaches, divorce mediators, professionals who are actively interested in using interiors therapy to move their clients through the process more quickly. And they're getting a deeper connection with their clients because you almost understand. Once you get the hang of interiors therapy, you can see what's written on the wall for them. And so, of course, that leads to more professional and client success and more recommendations. So everyone wins. And I think just by you being here and watching this far and understanding a little bit more about what interiors therapy can do to ease the pressure on your clients, you're showing the real intensity of your brilliance as a legal professional, because so many people don't work that way. So many people will encourage their clients to fight and drag out a legal divorce case for years. And I'm so glad you're not one of those. So And the other thing to say is it does work in your everyday life too. So if you're feeling a little bit blocked, constricted, if things aren't flowing the way you'd like them to, then look at your own interiors therapy, because it really does help everyone. And this is how people work with me. I support clients with an individual basis. I can do that online or in the home. So I have clients across the UK, North America, Australia, New Zealand, pretty much anywhere where English is the first language. And I also work in Europe. I do fly out to Europe occasionally when the situation allows. I do ready to sell consultations for people who want to sell their home, and we normally get a very fast sale. I teach an online masterclass as well. I'm not quite sure why this isn't working the way I expected it to, but there you go. And I am a professional speaker. So if you have a professional group of other divorce professionals, or you'd like me to talk to your team, I'm also very happy to do that. And I do occasionally do some spokesperson work for brands. So you might see that popping up occasionally on my feed. So essentially, that is an overview of interiors therapy and how it can work. I know it was fast, I know it was a bit high speed, but I figure if you have an overview, then you can ask me questions that I can help you with directly, so that you're actually knowing what I'm talking about, as opposed to me writing it all down and, just being another email to read. I hope you've enjoyed your cup of tea. Take care now. Bye.